Hey everybody. Okay, so now we've done we've done the build work on the Aquarius board. What we're going to do is now we're going to get some 5-volt power, and I'll show you where we're going to tap that off of. Hold on a second while I grab something, but we're going to be pulling 5 volts off of what's called a via. A via is and that's what these little pieces are here. These little things are called vias. They actually connect the top of the motherboard to the bottom. And what a lot of manufacturers used to do is they used to just fill those with solder, so people didn't think there was a missing piece. So what we're going to do is, the via that we're going to tap 5 volts off of is right next to this guy here. It's not actually touching this chip. It's actually right there beneath it. Let's see if I can show you. We're going to desolder the hole here, and we're going to put that other little right angle component in there. So we're going to flip it over, and it is right here. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to mark it right there. So it comes straight across this middle plane between the PLA and these memory chips here. So we're going to kick up my desoldering iron, put a little flux paste there. It cooled off while I was building the other one, so it'll take a second to get up to temperature, but we're going to suck the hole. We're going to suck the solder out of this hole. While we're waiting, I believe, so this is the video cable we're going to use. It has 4 leads, as you can see, and then it goes to the traditional composite out, consumer grade composite out. A yellow for composite video, it's all combined sync and luminance, and then 2 audio channels. We're going to actually run the multimeter on this to show you to make sure you've got the right cable. Some cables will swap these around. For the particular jack we used, we're actually going to tone this out to let you test where the ground is and where each of the video signals and the audio signals are. Okay, so we are up to temperature, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the solder out of that via. You could do this with a, if you look really closely, there is now a hole right there. So since we don't need that little need that little marking anymore, I'm just going to spritz it with a little alcohol. Alcohol takes off Sharpies, so it's nice and clean. But I do need a piece of tape because I need to hold this little right angle connector in place. So I'm going to grab my blue tape, which is way across the shop. I apologize. We're going to take the blue tape to hold it in place. Good old painter's tape. I suppose you could use Kapton tape, but it's really expensive, and this isn't really that critical. So, just like we did on the other one, we're going to push this lead, this black spacer, all the way down. So it is as low to the angle as possible. So it was about right here. We pushed it all the way to the top. We're going to, on this side, and this is where it is, it's right next to this RAM chip, drop it right through. And then that little black plastic spacer also acts as an insulator for the chip. Again, it's not really doing, you're not going to short anything out. So we're going to make sure this is generally straight. We've got it on with the blue tape. We're going to go back here. A little bit of flux paste there. Probably could have left the marking on there. I didn't need to be so anal early about that. Let's get our soldering iron, and it is right here. Load that with solder. Looks good, nice solid. Now again, it sticks up a little bit more than I'd like it to. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to do the thing where I kind of protect where this goes. I'm going to snip this off, but I'm going to shoot it downward. Oh, it still went behind me. So be careful when you're cutting off pins like that. So there's that part. I'm going to reflow that. We're going to take the tape off, and now we have a nice little 5-volt lead. So this is the direction you're used to seeing it. So this is where we're going to get 5 volts from, and it comes directly from this pin over here on the power regulator we installed. Okay, so good there. All right. Now, some of you may have been wondering what these little spacers are. So what these spacers are is, I put the spacers because when you stack two of these 1.6 millimeter circuit boards up on top of each other, it happens to be the exact distance between this circuit board and the bottom of this circuit board for spacing these out. Now, it looks like this pin's a little crooked, so we're going to straighten that out. So these are the perfect spacers. So what we're going to do is, you can pop them off. I like to trim them off because I want to make sure I don't scratch myself on this fiberglass. So you just trim them off. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull all of these plastic, sorry about that, I'm going to pull all of these up as much as I can, not off like I just did. Oh, that was stupid. So I can put this back on here. So I'm going to push it as far as I can, and I'm going to leave about that much room on the end. And there's a reason for that. We want it to be a little further than we need it. So again, we leave about a needle nose pliers width. Fish these guys up. And what it is once we get this height set with the spacers, then these will just sit in place, which is awesome. Huh. Okay, so we had these two solder joints just pop off. So that's not good. Try and reflow these guys. So while we do get ground from these, it's not the only place. There's actually 4 points on this that we can get ground from. So I'm going to, let's see if this pops off again. I'm going to float these up a little bit higher. And then I think that should do it. All right. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. We're going to float these spacers up. Again, about that far away. Float these guys up. And then what these plastic things are going to do is they're going to hold us in place. Okay. So now you've got spacers that are about maybe 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters from the bottom of the pins. It's still a little high, so what we're going to do is we're going to set it in place, line it up, make sure that these pins go where they go. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these two little spacers and we're going to mash the board together until they hit the spacer here. So I'm going to try and see if you can see that. So that's that one. The front one's good. Let's do the back one. And it went a little high, so that's good. Oops. And then what that does is that keeps it so that port is just about at the right height. Just about perfectly centered in the middle of what used to be the RF out port. And we're going to respace these to make sure this is right, and it is. Okay, so now I'm going to very carefully turn this over. and we're going to solder these in place. Now, this fell out, so I'm going to put this underneath here, hold it in place. It still fell out. Set it up on the edge. And I'm going to do this top edge here. Now, we're going to flood this with tons of solder. So I'm going to put a lot of flux on this. And I'm actually, rather than changing out this very thin tip, which is what I use for detailed soldering, I'm actually going to use the heavy duty tip on the desoldering gun. It's running a little bit hotter than I run my soldering iron. So we're going to flood this with solder. There's that. And go on this side a little. And it's still not quite holding on, so let's get a little more. Okay. And I'm going to put paste here, here, and here. And then remember, we have two leads. We have this one, which is the video lead, and this one, which is the audio lead. So neither of those are grounded, so let's get those in place first. And they're actually kind of the most important connections. Otherwise, you're not going to get any video or audio out. And they are in place. Good. Let's go back to the desoldering iron. And let's put lots of solder on this guy. And then we'll put it up on the other side as well, too. Cannot use too much solder on this. I'm going to do the top edge, and I'm going to have to flip the board around so I can get a good thermal mass on these mounting points. So let's flip this guy around, and then we'll go from the other direction on these two side pieces. So I got that one, which is good. Oops, I didn't need to do that, sorry. Let's put even more. Just completely flood this with solder. We'll do a little more on this side here. And again, I use a lot of this detail solder. You could probably just use it like a cheaper thicker type of solder for this. You don't need to use all your detail solder on this, but it's what I happen to have at hand, so. Almost there. And let's just make sure there's connection here. Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and cool these down. So I can touch them. Now, it seems to be pretty solidly mounted. through there. Okay, so now what we can do is we can trim off the excess tabs here. And I can feel the heat coming off of this. I put a lot of heat into that. So again, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to clean this off first. Let's put this in here. Clean this off. Take my piece of blue tape, wherever it was, and I guess I can't do that. Okay, so I'm going to cover this. Ouch, that hurt. It does really come off pretty fast at like speed of sound. And then these last two pins for video and audio. All right, so now the Aquarius Composite mod is in place. What you'll do is you'll take a DuPont jumper, and we're going to go from here to here. So let me go grab one of those really quickly. I like to use red. So since these are male headers, you're going to use female to female. Put it right here. I'll use an orange one, that's fine. I'm going to place it right here. So that's where it's getting its power from. The nice part about it is if you ever want to like undo it, you can always put it back to the way you found it. This is not a permanent change. So if you want to, you can imagine tuck some of these wires underneath here. Let's see if we can do that. There you go. That kind of works. Just keep it out of the way. So you're getting power from here. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, so this is our board. Let's do a real quick test on the pins for these so you can see exactly what it is that the pins should go to. So here we are. We are on continuity tone mode. So if you notice on these, all of the ground, the outer jackets should be the same. So the outer sleeve on these are all ground, and they are also to this inner. So ground on all of these is this one that's closest to the neck. The next one, I believe, is audio. No, is it video? Yes, okay. So this is ground, this is video. So it is the inner pin of that one. These two should be the same. Oh, no, I guess they do go out. Oh, so this is right, this is left. Once you plug it into the board, they'll be grounded out the same. So you need to make sure that your plug does that. This is ground, this is video, this is left, and this is right, or whichever one it was. If these are not in that order, then your plug won't work. So we're going to do a video putting it back in the machine and testing it out.